Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode here on ESGNet of ESGNet presents the Sports Gamer Soapbox Talk Podcast. This is episode 11, and I want to thank you guys so much here. We got a few things here we're going to talk about here in this week's show. This is kind of an off week, as I think last week I mentioned I was not going to have a sports gaming talk here with you guys because I was wanting to hang out with family, and of course I had some other things to do, but most importantly hang out with family and some few friends that are in town for the holiday weekend, and which just gave me enough time here to kind of just sit back and kind of talk about get some chance to get, take some time away, enjoy sports for what it is, as an escape. But at the same time, keeping up on, just looking at, we'll keeping, track of what's going on in the sports world. Of course, we're going through a lot of things in this world besides sports. When we talk about things that are going in the real world here, and I kind of want to get off the subject of sports right now. But as late here, we've had now we've had two shootings here. Two men have been shot and killed by police officers, and right now I'm kind of watching the news, the early morning news right now about the latest one. It was happening in Dallas, and I know this is not really the platform. I don't really talk too much about things when it comes to actual hard news. Not news that we talk about here necessarily here on sports news here on the channel, but I will say that we're going through some dark times right now as a not just as a nation but as a society here. We got too many things going on when it comes to guns and what goes on here when it comes to mass shootings and terrorism and everything like that. And that is something it's not a place to talk, because I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about the politics here, because I try to have this channel be as less politics as much as possible. That could be it for another day. I mean, you guys want to talk about it. You guys want me to talk about that stuff, we can. But that's just another platform that we can talk about somewhere else at another time. But I just want to get out there that people, when you're listening to these stories, take with a grain of salt. Don't go just to one news organization. Go to all of them. See what they're all saying. See if they're matching up their information. If the information is not matching up, it doesn't sound, each of them don't sound alike or don't, have the same tone of what's going on. That right there, that's not good journalism. And I don't consider myself as a journalist by no far. I mean, I do have some experience of working in journalism, but get all the facts first before you make a solid decision on what's going on. Read stuff. Don't read from one source, from an internet source. Read from several to see again what's being said and what's going on. But that's what I want to say about that issue. Going on now trying to get some good news here, and I just want to get that out there. So I just want to, to get this, just say that, remember about these shootings. They're not just the victims themselves, but also the people involved in the shooting. Who, the police officers who are involved shooting these individuals, the families that have lost these individuals, and the community in that city, in that town, that have lost people that were important to not saying they're important people, but people that are that have to deal with this. This is a city. There's cities now are going to be split in half, because some are going to be on the side of the police and some are going to be on the side of the victims. And we, as a society, as a nation, we need to sit down and have a true conversation about what is going on in our communities. And police, I think nowadays, need to change their procedures and change their the way they approach civilians and people, and not go to firing their weapon off before getting all the facts. Police officers have non-lethal weapons they can use, and I understand that they put their lives on the line every single day, and I'm truly appreciative of that. But we cannot forget that these are also human lives, and if you take a human life, you better be prepared for the consequences that come with it, the good and the bad. So yeah, it's a troubling day. But like I said, go out there and search for the information for yourself, guys. Don't be force-fed anything. That's why I give you guys the links to everything I talk about here, because if I say something wrong or I misquote something, I want to, I always say, just check my facts. I got the facts down there. I got the source of information I found them from, and check them out, see if they're reliable, and look for yourselves. Go out there and I'm all about being correct me if I'm wrong or anything on these anytime I post these videos up. So that's what I want to say about that, and hopefully we can now transition to going back into talking sports here in just a bit, and what's going on in the world of sports. So that's what I want to say about that. Hopefully we'll learn more about what's happening with these two recent shootings here. Actually, I just realized there was actually another shooting within, I think, just earlier today. Besides the one and before the one that happened in Dallas, there was one. I can't remember exactly where, but it was a white male individual that got shot and killed. He was being pulled over for a routine traffic stop, and he, they told him to get out of the vehicle. He did. He got on all fours, and he was executed right there. There's video of it. I don't know if it's on Facebook or not, but I know there's video of it floating around somewhere. I'm sure you guys will be able to find it, so you guys can see that. I'm hoping the media will cover that story and find out what was going on in that story. So this issue about police and everything is kind of stuff. And I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking right now, why are we talking about this? Where I thought we were going to talk about sports. Well, we are, but this is something that we just can't ignore. This is a story that's that affects everyone. So now to the lighter side. Let's get to the news. Let's find out what stupid things that people are doing they shouldn't be doing. From my opinion. Remember, this is all from my opinion, my perspective. I just want you guys to get notice about what's going on in the world of sports. So let's just get to some news and notes real quick here. Let's get to two stories that happened this past week. I didn't get a chance to cover. I should have covered. I should have made a video about it, but I didn't. And I truly apologize for people that were wondering where this video was about this. And that video is, or that news is that the former, or I should say, Hall of Fame women's basketball coach Pat Summitt passed away last week. Big news throughout the world of collegiate sports there. She was the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers. She learned that she had early signs of Alzheimer's, and as a person that has been affected by Alzheimer's, because my grandmother had it, this story hit really close to home. My grandmother had it, and we caught it. Oh, there's my phone now going off. When my family and I learned of that my grandmother had it, she was already in the later stages of it. So there was medication to help her, but it pretty much just gave us borrowed time from her and spending time with her. And I tried to sit down with her, and there was days she would remember who I was, and then there's days that she just didn't know who I was and whatnot. And it is an illness that does rob not just of that individual that has it, but it does rob the family. My grandmother and I had a close relationship, and I know how her grandchildren and family really feels that's happened to her, and especially happened to somebody like her, who has done so much for women's basketball and women's sports in general. To have that happen to her, my thoughts and prayers go out to the family. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Another person who was taken from us from the sports world, and I just watched the 30 for 30 on him and the Chicago Bears, and that is Coach Buddy Ryan. He is the father of both the Ryan's brothers, Rex and I can't think of the other brother's name, but the Ryan's twins. Their father passed away this past week. So our thoughts and prayers go out to that family, and it's weird. You watch something about somebody like that and what they're going through, and then within days you hear about them passing away. If you guys ever get a chance to watch it, I know right now it's on Netflix. Definitely check that documentary about the Bears, the 85 Bears, and that great defense they had there. And I was a little kid at the time. I was only roughly 3 years old when they won the Super Bowl. The Bears did. What was going on at that time with the teams and what they were dealing with, and the whole fiasco of having these two coaches. You had a coach that was a former player for that team who came back and made that team better, improved that team on offensively, and then you had a defensive coordinator who thought that the world was going to be the world of being a Chicago Bears coach was going to be it's going to be his team, and he's going to take over and be the head coach, and then learn to be, well, no, you're actually going to help this other guy out as the head coach. And they were both, of course, won the Super Bowl, and both were carried off the field. It's a really great story. I will say it's a really great story, and you definitely have to check it out. It's on Netflix right now. Definitely watch it. And really, one of the most brilliant defensive coordinators that have ever coached the game. And a lot, of course, there's so many people from a coaching tree perspective. There's so many coaches out there that were underneath the tutelage of Buddy Ryan. So our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. Of course, his family. Now Rex and his brother now are going to be with the Bills. Are both coaches of the Bills now. Rex, of course, the head coach there. Got a lot of their knowledge from their dad. And so it's going to be a very special time next season for those two and for the loss of their father. Oh man, talk about a downer for this episode coming in episode 11. I apologize, you guys. I apologize so much. On the lighter side, we have learned that for us gamers out there, we just recently, if you were around 20 years ago, that Nintendo celebrated their recent birthday of the Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 is now 20 years old. Next year it'll be 21. It'll be illegal to drink. Yeah, it's a joke, I know. But yeah, Nintendo celebrated that just this past week. So if you have a Nintendo 64 still, hey, big ups. Enjoy playing it. I go to there's a gaming bar here in the town I live in, here in St. Joseph, Missouri, and it's called Gamer Geek. If you ever come to St. Joseph, Missouri, for whatever reason, I don't know why you would come to St. Joseph, Missouri, but if you ever get a chance to go by that place, if you're of age, definitely check it out. It's a fun little bar. It's nice. It's a small bar. They have Genesis, a 64, like Wii U, Nintendo, and a Super Nintendo. But they're trying to get they've been around for about a year now, and they're hoping to expand and have more stuff here within the next year, coming up the next year or so. But it's a really nice gaming bar, and I've noticed around here in this area there's a lot of hipster type bars like that coming up now. There's a couple in Kansas City now that a friend of mine, he's been to. He says they're awesome, and I'm gonna try to go down there and check them out. But yeah, Nintendo 64 turns 20 years old today, so us old gamers out there, or we grew up playing Perfect Dark and GoldenEye and all those type of stuff. And really just thinking about that, I'm just thinking like, I mean, I don't consider myself old because I'm 33 years of age, but damn, I'm old. And that retrospect there, I'm like, wow, I remember when the Nintendo 64 first came out. So, wow. So let's go ahead. What else do we got to talk about here today? Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get into some. We got some news on pro wrestling. We got some news on the Hardy video, which I recently watched. And I'll tell you about my thoughts about that video. Kind of some mixed emotions on it, but at the same time, it was entertaining for the most part. We also got news in the realm of NBA. Of course, everyone right now, the most talked about story in sports right now is KD leaving Oklahoma City. Yes, I'm going to repeat that. Kevin Durant has left Oklahoma City. Yes, that is. I am not stuttering. I'm not making that up. He did leave OKC, and we'll talk about that. I got some thoughts about that for sure. One of my big soapbox speeches here today. Another one is Johnny Manziel has recently been told by his father that he needs to grow up and quit being a druggie. Yeah, his own daddy said this. Yeah. Not to mention, we have some news in Major League Baseball. As you know, the mid-season classic is coming up. I'll let you guys know who the starters are if you don't know already. I have a link to that. You guys can check that out down below in the description. There's a link to that. Who's going to be on the team? Who's the starters? Who's the backups? And then also the Home Run Derby's coming up, and that'll be on Tuesday here, actually coming up. And we'll talk about the top vote getter. A lot of people around here in this area love him and are happy to see that he's the top vote getter. We'll talk about who that is. Also, some Cubbies made some starts on that. We'll get into that. And then we'll also get into what else? What else do I got on here? I'm trying to think. I thought I had several things we were going to talk about here. I guess not. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this story right here. Let's get into some NFL news. Of course, the NFL draft, we've came and done that already. But a really cool story. I think you guys, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh my God, enough about him. I don't want to talk about him. He's not any good as a quarterback." Da da da. And I mean, in some ways, I kind of agree with you guys, and in other ways, I don't. I think this is be a good publicity tool. He's a good ambassador of the game, and that is Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow recently, in a recent flight he took here. I'm trying to grab my computer here. I think I had the link, or at least I thought I did. But there's a article about him helping a gentleman in the air in a recent flight that he had here. I'm going to try to pull it up on my computer here. Yes, I am unprepared today. But yeah, in a recent flight that he had, I believe, let me see. I want to try to pull it up on here, but I could. Oops. Okay, never mind. Alright, let's see here. We got... Let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, I apologize. I'm not prepared. I thought I had this set up already, but I guess apparently I didn't. But the thing is, it's a really good story. Read it down below. I'll leave a link there in the description there. It's coming from Fox Sports here, and he helps a man. A man is, I believe, choking on this flight here that he's on. Now, if you don't know, Tim Tebow is currently right now on a show called what is it called? Home something. It's on Fox. Check your local listings for it and whatnot. But he was recently on a flight on Delta Airlines flight 1772 from Atlanta, Georgia, going to Phoenix, when there was a medical emergency that would happen, and they needed someone to help a gentleman who was dying. But after listening to the whatnot, the gentleman he lost his pulse, and pretty much Tim Tebow, not even thinking about it, not even taking a second thought about it or whatever, came up and said that he could help him and help get this man breathing again, and they helped the man, and Tim Tebow saved a life. So congratulations to him. Awesome that he did that. Of course, the people were taking pictures and like that. An executive with the Tim Tebow Foundation recently just confirmed the story, and Tim Tebow, I guess, on his website, on that foundation there, was on there telling about what happened, and it also was a part of the Jacksonville.com. But the man was transported to a hospital or actually transported in a vehicle to the hospital, and was transported in a vehicle that Tim Tebow helped arrange for himself, and got the man to safety. So, former NFL quarterback Tim Tebow doing something in the air, helping out, and the passenger name is Richard Gotti. So Richard Gotti owes Tim Tebow. He owes him his life. You don't hear about stuff like that happens to individuals nowadays, and especially in sports and sports figures like that. But Tim Tebow, he got a good, had a good shoulder on his head, a good head on his shoulders. A decent, really good guy. I wouldn't say a necessary quarterback, but that's something we could talk about, and we've talked about here on it before. But yeah, he's doing a good deed, and I congratulate him on doing that, and not even thinking second about it. So just going in there and just trying to see what he can do as a fellow human being. So thank you, Tim Tebow, for that. Okay, now on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have no other than Johnny Manziel. Yeah. Johnny Manziel, of course, been in the news here as of late, and he's been a party animal. And if you haven't known already, over the 4th of July weekend, we learned that that he will be, he was told, or at least has been told by the NFL, that he will be sitting out 4 games in the upcoming season here. That's if he's, of course, signed to a team. Currently, right now, he's not signed with a team. But his dad has left him a message, and on a recent Yahoo Sports article, he's pretty much said that his son is a druggie, and that his son needs to go to jail to get his life in check and get in order. So, honestly, when your dad has to come out in public and and really say, hey, yeah, I agree with most, majority of you people that follow the sport, fans and the commentators and all that in that sport. My son has a talent. He can play football, but he's physically unable to because he is too busy drinking and doing drugs and or whatever the case may be. In his case, it's drinking. He needs, he's a druggie. He needs help. He needs to be locked up. If you also remember too, here not too long ago, he recently just got indicted and charged for the domestic dispute that he had with his longtime girlfriend, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. I'm sure the NFL will be, keep their eye on that. Okay, here's my thing with him. Guys, and I've said this before, if you have talent, and you have talent, and everyone's saying that you have great talent, that you could be something very special in this sport, take that opportunity and do that. Take everything that's going to get you in trouble, and it's going to get you in trouble. You need to toss that to the side and say, no, I can't do that. If you're trying to work on yourself as a brand, and that's what a lot of people are now doing now, all types of people, all walks of life. You can be the everyday person to someone that is on TV or a public figure. You have to protect your brand. You need to protect yourself. Because if you don't protect yourself, then someone's going to take advantage of you. And that is what's happening with Johnny Manziel. He needs to look what he's doing. Because right now, is he signed with anybody right now? No, he's not. Will he be signed with somebody? We've seen funny things happen. They know he is a talent. He has talent. He can throw the football. But the thing is, can he stay on the field? Can you stay on the field and not get in trouble off the field? That is the problem with him. He's too busy doing stuff off the field, which is getting him in trouble, on the field, where he can't get on the field. Actually, I don't understand why guys like this have, and you got some people out there saying, oh, he's just doing this because he figures he has money, and if you have money, you can do practically anything you want. Well, we need to go back to having that idea of you being part of the NFL, or you being part of the NBA, or Major League Baseball or NHL, whatever sport you're in. It's a privilege to go and be a part of. You don't have the right to be in there, because if that's the case, then there's tens of hundreds of thousands of other people who play the sport and may not even want to play the sport for money, but just play the sport because they love the sport. Now, the money issue, that's a secondary thing, making that kind of cash and whatnot, and doing what you want with that kind of cash. But actually going out and playing the sport professionally, people would kill for that. People would kill to have that opportunity here, and he's pissing it away. Excuse my French. He is pissing it away because he's too worried about being Johnny Football. Off the field, drinking, having these weird parties, beating on other women, beating on women. And by no means, I always say this on these shows, by no means am I perfect at all. No, I'm like anybody else. I have my faults. I have issues myself. But at the same time, when you have this kind of, and maybe it's a pressure issue. Maybe there's too much pressure on him. Well, you know what? I hate to tell you this, but there's pressure in everything you do in life. There's no excuse for you. I don't care if you just go, well, it's pressure because he's an NFL star and everybody wants something from him. Well, you know what? There's a little thing. There's a word. It's a one-syllable word, 2 letters. N-O. No. You need to tell people no. If people do not respect you because you're not doing something for them, and they want to throw that back in your face. Well, I did this for you when you were in college, or I helped you get here. I helped you. You know, I'm the one that helped you get to this point, and by doing this and this and this. To me, that's wrong, and a true friend wouldn't do that, or especially a relative that cares about you would not say that, would not do that to you. You have to learn to say no. And I remember watching one of the rookie symposiums they had. One year they showed it on the NFL Network live, and I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Chris Carter. He was telling those guys, these rookies, like, you need to say no. No, I can't buy you a $25,000 car. No, I can't, or a $250,000 car, or I can't buy you a home, And you may have to say no to your parents. Yes, your parents helped you get you that part, taking you to the games, helped you get in college and all that type of stuff. But you know what? First and foremost, you have to worry about yourselves. You need to take care of yourselves. And in this case, with Manziel, I think if Paul Manziel realized that it's too late. His son's already on that downward spiral. He can't really do nothing about it because it's out of his control. The only person now that has anything to really do anything with it is his son. His son is the last chance. Is the only person that can change things for himself. He's got to be willing to want to do it. Simple as that. If Manziel's not willing to change his ways and do it for the sake of himself, I mean, forget about football. Forget about his career in football and whatnot. But for himself. And a possible future of his future career. Because he's still young enough, he can turn himself around. And I believe in second chance. I believe in people turning themselves around and make themselves better. But they have to be in the shithole. They have to be in the shitter. They have to hit rock bottom before they know that. Because especially at the situations like this, or he's already 2 or 3 seasons in, and he's already he's coming as a passing thought to a lot of people. Like, oh, okay, whatever. I don't think any teams are even wanting to take a risk on him. And if they are, they're going to give him the minimum. They're not going to give him the type of money that he thinks he deserves. And playing time wise, you better hope that the 2 guys ahead of you have serious injuries, because they're not going to start you. You got to build back your credibility, and I've talked about that here on the show. If you want to be people take you seriously, you better start drawing some good credibility. You better start getting yourself to acting right and get yourself together. Because if you don't have credibility, no one's gonna take you seriously at all. And that's just the plain, simple, common sense truth. I don't know, but you read the article, you can read about what his dad was saying. Paul Manziel was talking about his son and how he needs to get himself together and whatnot. It's a really good, decent article, or I believe it might be a video. But yeah, his dad was talking about that. And it's like, when your own dad has to come on national television and say that that his son's a druggie, he's a screw up. That right there, to me, is, if I was a GM of a team, we're not touching Manziel until he gets his act together. He's a great quarterback, good kid. I mean, good quarterback, good intelligence and everything when it comes to quarterback knowledge of the game. Seems like he knows, but you can't have that and not be on the field. You got to be on the field to be able to use that kind of knowledge and that kind of ability. You can't be sitting on the sidelines. It just ain't gonna happen. So, yeah, it's you know, it's crazy, but yeah, it happens. All right. And like I said, I'm sure we'll probably hear more about this, but yeah, with Manziel right now, it's he's at a lost cause right now. I really don't see what team would want to really take him. I just don't see a team that would want to have him in their corner and have them on the roster, take up a roster space when they can clearly go to someone else who has just half the talent he has. Okay. Now let's move on here, and let's move on into the world of the National Basketball Association. If you guys don't know, the free agency period has been a whirlwind. We've had now, there was reports, now it's confirmed now, that the Knicks have signed a couple of players here. So it looks like Knicks are setting up a super team for them. The Knicks have actually, there's been a lot of names that have been going on. Kevin Durant's one of the names that were going. Of course, I'll talk about more about that. That was one of the teams that were being mentioned. That he could possibly go to, but I'm trying to look here and see to pull up the story here. But the Knicks, yeah, they've signed quite a few guys here. One of them was mentioned. Besides Kevin Durant, it was Dwayne Wade mentioned. But now we've learned that that's not true, because now Dwayne Wade, he has recently signed with the Chicago Bulls on a deal, and so now he'll be in Chicago. He has left South Beach, and now he is heading his talents there in the Windy City. As he is blowing into the Windy City, blowing out of the Windy City is no other than Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose signed with the Knicks, along with Brandon Jennings. So they got pretty much a superpower there in New York. New York's trying to try something. Of course, they kept Carmelo, because Carmelo's now one of the guys that's like, okay, I'm in the same draft class as LeBron. LeBron's now won 3 championships, 2 with Miami, 1 with Cleveland. I got to get something going. So now they've signed Rose, and now they've signed, along with Rose, they've signed Jennings on that. So looks like next year for New York, you guys might have something now to be proud of here. It should be really interesting how that's going to play out. But of course, the story that everyone is talking about, and honestly, I don't understand why people are comparing this. In some ways, I can see it, because there's been some recent developments about being hypocritical, and that is Kevin Durant. Now, if you've been beneath the rock and don't know what's going on and why people have been burning his jersey, it's because Kevin Durant has recently signed a 2-year deal with the Golden State Warriors. And of course, it's a 2-year deal, but he has a player option where he can opt out next season. And next season, that means he could be possibly be a a free agent for next year, this time next year, and possibly come back to Oklahoma City. Just depends. And I'll get into more about that, his possible return, and not to mention why he left, or at least my idea why he left. But it says, according to Deadspin.com and their sports section there, it's not a joke. And when I read this, I was thinking like, okay, this has to be a joke, but it's not. Kevin Durant did sign a deal with them, with Golden State. He had an article there on the Players Tribune, And again, it's a real popular site where a lot of athletes are going on there and kind of getting their thoughts out there to their fans and just to the general public of that whatever sport that people follow. But yeah, he reported there. Like I said, it's a 2-year deal. I'm not for sure how much money, but people are now calling him a traitor. People are complaining now. People in Oklahoma City have been burning jerseys. You got sports columnists now, especially national columnists like on ESPN, are just kind of like can't believe that Kevin Durant lied to him and saying all this stuff. And it's like, I understand you're upset, you're frustrated because you have a team here, which is a very successful team. They've been in they've been to the finals. Unfortunately, came up short. But why are you going to burn a $90 jersey? And and you don't know what the future is going to be like. You don't know if he could make a return back. I mean, LeBron did it. People brought him back in open arms. As a Midwesterner, I can see people in Oklahoma City, for the most part, would want him to come back. And I think they understand why he left. A lot of people say, "Oh, he's chasing a ring. He's being hypocritical." Look at all the things he said on Twitter when LeBron left, which is true. And that is, to me, by definition, is being hypocritical. But at the same time, it's about where can I get my ring at. Now, playing difficult advocate here, let's look at the Thunder. The Thunder didn't do anything here in last year's offseason to help that team improve and get themselves into the NBA Finals, which is your main goal. That is your goal. If you went to the Finals one year, the previous year, your idea is to go back and win it, or at least get back in there and attempt to try to win it. Working your way to that position. They didn't do that. As recently, I just found out last week, they released Serge Ibaka. He left. They didn't re-sign him. They couldn't get a deal for him to stay there. And then, of course, now Durant's left. And now the only person they have, besides Nick Collison, is Westbrook. Now, we all know about Westbrook and his issues of playing time and getting the ball and wanting to be the guy be the go-to guy when it comes to winning games. And honestly, I think that played a role. I seriously think that played a huge role in Kevin Durant's decision. Besides, chasing a ring, because honestly, nowadays, who isn't chasing a ring? Who isn't trying to win a championship and going by on all means? Just because you see teams do it, why would you not expect a player, an individual, to go chasing? And people are saying, "Oh, Michael Jordan didn't do it. He didn't chase a ring. Patrick Ewing, he didn't do it." Well, okay, Patrick. It was two different people. Patrick Ewing came several times close to getting a ring, but of course, he had Michael Jordan in his way. Michael Jordan, okay, yes, he didn't chase a ring. But the Bulls organization were smart enough to say, hey, he's one person. We need a supporting cast to help him out. We can't rely on him to be the guy to win a championship. It takes 12 guys on that team to have a successful season. Not the 5 that start every night. But we need a set of 12 guys. We need 12 individuals. Take those 12 individuals and have them as one person, one heartbeat, moving all in the same direction. Michael's the leader. Yes, he is the playmaker. But I'm telling you now, guys, it was a different time back. This is 2 different eras of basketball. I mentioned this before in past videos. These are 2 different eras in basketball. In that era, back then, all you needed I feel old saying it now. But back then, back in our old times, you old whippersnappers, you really only needed one guy. If you had that one guy, you had him. You could, if you had that one guy or maybe a second guy, kind of a 1-2 punch, you were set. And I mean, of course, money doesn't. I mean, money helps also. I mean, it always cures the ill on a team when you have money, because you can go out and buy those guys. But back then, you didn't see too many teams go out and buy people. You didn't see teams go out and buy so-called championships, because they built within. You got guys that were custom to your way you're playing, just like you would do today in today's game, which some teams do that still, so shocking enough. But Michael Jordan was a different specimen. He was totally different, and that era was different. The rules were different. And I hate when people say, "Oh, Michael Jordan, you didn't see him running out chasing after champions." That's true. But again, he had help. He had an organization that knew, hey, we went to the finals this year. We won it. I like going back. We gotta go back again. We gotta build ourselves a team. And that's what they did. They built themselves a team. They replaced guys. You don't always see the same guys on there. Towards the end of Michael's career, you've seen Kukoc play a lot more. Steve Kerr played a lot more. Pippen, of course, was around and helped Michael out. Was there to help Michael out? You don't see too many role players like that. We live in an era now in this basketball that I want to be the star. I want to be the main attraction. I want people to come and see me. When it should be, I want to see the team. And the only team I can think of that does that, well, actually, the two teams that have done that is the team that won the championship, being the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the team that won it last year and came close to winning it this year, and that is the Warriors. Those are the only two teams I see that play as a team. Well, again, we live in a different era of basketball. And not to mention free agency. Yeah, it was around back then, but it wasn't utilized as it is today. You don't see it now, especially nowadays, you see guys who are friends, who are on different teams. You might have a guy play on the Western Conference. You may have a guy in the Eastern Conference, and they're good buddies, and they want to play They want to play basketball with each other. Not the simple fact because of money, it's because they just want to play together. If they have the chemistry off the court and they enjoy being around each other, there's no harm of them playing as a team together. And going back on to, I said about Golden State. Golden State fans, you guys enjoy. You had to enjoy your championship. You won it last year. This year it was a different story. It would have been a really good story if you guys would have won the championship, because then I could say, I would put you as one of the top 5 teams of all time in the NBA, because with what you did, with the season record, beating the having one more game than the Bulls did. But it wasn't. The payoff wasn't there. You guys didn't win it all. They did. They had the season. They had the best season record, and then not to mention came in the playoffs and won it all. And Warriors didn't do that. I hope next year. Next year we won't see what we've seen this past year. Oh no, we won't. By no means we'll see that. Especially now you got Durant there. Durant, there's going to be controversy on that. He's going to have that on him the whole time, all throughout the whole season. Especially when he has to go back, and he will have to go back to Oklahoma City and be wearing Golden State colors instead of his colors we're used to seeing him, and that's Oklahoma State or Oklahoma City. So I mean, I know fans. I know a lot of fans are down there, are upset and mad, and they were destroying property. Their jerseys and all that, traitor and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, he is hypocritical because what he said about LeBron. Now we can stick that on him. And did he chase after championship? Yeah, but again, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? I mean, especially if you're going to NFL, you know, wouldn't you want to go to the team if you had the opportunity and especially they were looking at you? Wouldn't you want to be on a part of that team? I think you would. You know, and it's all about chemistry. If you got guys on that team that you know that you're friends with, you know, and especially the coaching staff are just, they know they're chomping at the bit because they know that, oh man, he's a free agent. We want him. He has friends on this team. It's gonna be, I mean, chemistry. Money is great and all, good and all. It helps out, but it's not always. I think for a lot of these guys, I should say a lot. There's some guys here in this age of sports right now. When you see teams like that have so-called super teams, or the big three teams, you know, the big three players on the team, is because they're friends with each other off the court, and money is not the issue. It's about the camaraderie. It's about the friendship. It's about the chemistry of that unit that makes them good. And I'm hoping maybe we'll see. I'm putting all my eggs in that basket. I think that's what's going to happen in Golden State this upcoming year. But I mean, you guys can disagree with me. That from my point of view, that's how I see it. That's how I see this whole KD situation. And again, I wish KD and the Golden State Warriors the best. As for Oklahoma City, you guys knew this was coming up. If you knew you fell short, there was a good chance that he was going to leave, and that's what happened. To me, you guys did a disservice to him and that organization in the city by not going out there and being bulldogs and going after. Again, this is an era where you got to have chemistry. You got to at least have three guys win a championship, and that's something that the Thunder did not do and did not go after. They did not go after another guy to balance out Westbrook and Durant. And don't get me wrong, Westbrook was out for a while there. He had that injury. He lost a good month of the season. And Westbrook took over, and Westbrook just lit it. I mean, just was going nuts. That's all fine and dandy and everything. That's great. He stepped up. He was making up ground, taking up the space that Kevin Durant normally takes, and he had and put the team on his shoulders and go on, move along like Kevin Durant wasn't there. Well, now he's going to have to do that all year long next season, unless they get someone that has the same caliber, same type of style, or not at least style, but caliber that Kevin Durant does. I'm not mad at him at all. I'm not mad at Kevin Durant at all. I am, he does have to realize people are going to throw back what he said about LeBron a couple years ago, and he's going to have to get, they say, make your words soft and sweet. So, because there might be a time where you have to come back and eat them. And that, in his situation, that's what's going to happen with him. And he's got to prepare for people that used to support him are going to be booing him. But again, to me, from the fans' perspective, I think as a fan, because I am a Kevin Durant fan, because I tell you, like I said, or I think I mentioned this before in another time we were talking about KD or whatever. But I went to go see one of the games. I think it was this year he did the whole one and done thing, and it was a Texas KU game, and they're in Lawrence, and he scorched us alone. I mean, he was outscoring a lot of guys on the KU team put together, but KU miraculously somehow out of their ass came back and won the game, and were able to beat him. And I mean that figuratively. They were able to beat him and win the game and move on. And I hated him. I did not care for him, but I did respect him. Like, when he gets to the NBA, he is going to be a star. He's going to make whatever team he plays for just as good as they were the year before. Maybe even better. And I say within 3 years of his career, he's going to be in the finals. And in some matches, he was in the playoffs. He got at the time they were the Supersonics, and they became the later on became the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he improved that team's record dramatically. And then of course he added pieces to the team, Westbrook, Ibaka, stuff like that, help out the team and made them better. And then of course they went to the finals, but unfortunately lost. But that's part of building a team. You gotta have pieces in there that can move, and that's what something Oklahoma City just didn't do. And yeah, I mean, money wise, yeah, it would have helped. Try to get a big name, try to draw a big name there. But they should have pushed a little harder, and maybe they did. And it just by dumb luck, it just because it's Oklahoma, it's Oklahoma City. Not much of a tourist attraction, not a hot spot for people wanting to go to. I mean, when you think of Oklahoma, you don't think of basketball. You think of mainly football, but just farmland. Tornadoes, that kind of stuff. And that's something that the team has to work on and try to see how they can attract players to come there to play. But like I said, I am not mad at him all. I wish him all the best. For Golden State fans, I know you guys are happy. You guys are probably ecstatic about it. But at the same time, remember what you did this year ain't gonna happen next year. This team's gonna have to work even harder now, especially with the implement of Kevin Durant and the way how you guys play the style of basketball. There are gonna be teams. I almost say there's gonna be a couple teams out there that's gonna give them a hard time next season at trying to win games and trying to knock them out and defeat them. And it's gonna be a struggle. It's gonna be a struggle, and it's one of those good storylines that we're gonna be able to enjoy next season as we move along. So, like I said, this is the time of year I'm always excited about. And this has actually got me interested now in basketball again. Quite honest, I mean, I don't really get interested in NBA until around the holiday season, watching the Christmas games, and then around the All-Star break, that's when I start focusing on more. I mean throughout the course of the beginning of this year, I look at I wait a month or so after we've got games in and whatnot, and then kind of look at the rosters, and then look at the record, standings, all that kind of stuff. And that's usually around December, late December, early January when I do that, to kind of figure out, okay, what team has it been popular to watch and stuff like that, and what team it'd be interesting to see go to the playoffs like that. And I do that towards the latter part of the season. But now with all this stuff going on, and it's like, oh wow, like I just can't believe people were burning $90 jerseys. Like, seriously? Why are you going to be burning $90? People, use common sense. You damn know those jerseys are expensive. I don't get it. I don't get why people do that. But, yeah, to each is their own. And, I mean, if you want to burn your $90 jersey, especially hopefully it's not signed by him. Because if it's signed by him, and you burnt that, and then he comes back, and let's say he has an MVP, I mean, just a crazy season, and he does come back to Oklahoma City. Oh my! I mean, talk about the value of that. It's gonna, yeah. And there you are, got a pile of hash. Now you wish you had again. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I wish the best to KD. I wish the best to all the guys that have signed with new teams, or if they re-signed with their former team. I think that's awesome. I just hope, with every decision that's made, there's going to be some bumps. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to have to take a step back, or two, because if they added someone, or they misplaced someone, added someone to the roster, or if they lost someone to the roster. And we'll find out what team got their deal. Because just in case, just understand. Just like in baseball, you have, you got teams like Boston and New York and all those other players that have money. Doesn't necessarily you're not on like a guarantee. Oh, your guys going to the playoffs. Nah, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. Does not. So. Because, I mean, it's a team sport. You have to play as a team. I mean, There's no I in team. I mean, I know there's a cliche, but it's true. There's no I in team. You can't win it. You can't have one man win a championship, especially in today's era of basketball. You just can't do it. Can you have one man take you to playoffs? Yes, but that's the playoffs. You know, that's not the championship game. That's the playoffs. You still got to win games to get to the championship game. And you know, I think that's a lot of people, a lot of sports fans just forget. Okay, moving on. Let's go now to the Diamond and talk about Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball recently just announced their MLB All-Star team, both the American League and the National League. Of course, the top vote getter is no other than Salvi Perez of the Kansas City Royals. Yeah, Salvi, Big Sal. Got the most votes here. A little over 1 million votes for him alone. And of course, that was the same way almost, I think, last year. I think last year he was the top vote getter, a lot of people. And, I mean, I've never met Salvi. I think that back. I think when he was just starting off with the Royals, I remember meeting him. And I think one time before at a Royals carnival thing, where they go around during the off season and just talk about meeting the fans and signing autographs like that. And I got a chance to meet with him and had a brief conversation with him, and whatnot. And he seems like a really down to earth guy. I've read articles, I've seen some videos of him talking about his how he got started in baseball and all that. He's a real person. I mean, a real down to earth guy. He doesn't take his opportunity of playing baseball lightly, and I can understand why people are voting for him, because he is a fun person to be around. I mean, he's like a kid out there on the field and whatnot, and I wish him the best, and I can't wait. I'm actually going to be watching the game. I am going to watch the All-Star game. I do every year. Well, actually, not taking it back. Last year I didn't watch it. But this year, I'm definitely going to go watch it again. And, of course, a lot of people are saying, oh, the All-Star Game is not, it shouldn't be for something. It's an exhibition game. And in some ways, yeah, I really agree with that. I totally agree with that. But at the same time, after what happened in that one All-Star game, the All-Star game there happened in Milwaukee a couple of years back, that was so... I don't know. It was just the players that didn't really care. I mean, yeah, it's an exhibition game, and it's for the fans. Really, it's about the fans because the fans vote the players and everything, vote them in and whatnot. But I think there needs to be some kind of meeting. I think home field advantage, really does matter. I mean, you've seen here in the last couple of years that if you didn't have home field advantage, especially if you was a team that was not doing good at home. Playing at home, or I should say the other way around. If you were actually good at home, this was for you. This is, you were shoo-in to do well at home, taking those first two games. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think right now I kind of like the way they have it. There's always room to improve it and change it, just like they did with the Home Run Derby. Because now that more people are watching now, it's more exciting, it's more fun, and that's one thing I can't wait to watch, because this will be the first time I've actually watched it with the new rules and everything. I'm really interested to see how that's gonna play out. But yeah, for the American League, you got Salvi Perez going to be your starter. Eric Hosmer, Jose Altuve, Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Mookie Betts, I should say, Jackie Bradley Jr. You got Mike Trout and, of course, David Ortiz, rounding off the list of starters. Of course, you got some other names in there for relievers. There's a link down below in the description, guys, where you guys can. There's a really cool site there on the MLB.com site that they have for the All-Star Game, where it's an interactive site where you can read about the players and their statistics and all that kind of stuff about and how many times they've been to the All-Star Game and all that. It's a really cool way of seeing the roster and how it's broken down. But there's some, of course, there were some snubs there. People didn't, that people thought, oh, you know, it should be this, you know, this person, and then that's going to happen there anytime you have an All-Star game, because everybody wants to see their favorite player, and of course, all 30 teams need to be represented in the Major League Baseball game, the Midsummer Classic. I mean, you're gonna have some snubs, but you know, it's about the fans. I mean, if players get mad because they don't get in, well, it's because of the fans. The fans decide who they want to see. They're spending the money. They're spending the cash, and they want to see who they want to see. And if you're not one of the people that they want to see, well, you know, you need to take it with them. I mean, honestly, you need to take it up with them, and not media. You know, just, you know, if you're a jackass, quit being a jackass. Maybe you'll go to the All-Star game. You know, I don't know, but people are going to be complaining about it and whatnot, and you can read more about it there. There's another link I think I have about that. Of course, the All-Star game is what is it? I think they switched it on nights now. I think the All-Star game is on Wednesday night now. Usually it's on the second Monday of July, but it's gonna be on Wednesday. The Home Run Derby is, instead of being on Monday, the All-Star game is usually on Tuesday. So this year they're changing it up. All-Star game's on Wednesday, the 13th. That's this upcoming Wednesday, and then on Tuesday, the 12th, is the Home Run Derby, the 2016 T-Mobile Home Run Derby. They're on ESPN, so definitely check it out. There's a link down below too of all the players that are going to be a part of that. But for the NL stars, before I get to the Home Run Derby guys, NL, you got Buster Posey, you got Anthony Rizzo, Ben Zobrist, Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, Yoenis Cespedes, Dexter Fowler, and Bryce Harper. And now you're probably wondering, like, wait a minute, there's 5 guys for the Cubbies? Well, yeah, there's 5 players there that are going to be represented by the Cubs. Plus, you got, I think, like 2 or 3 pitchers that are going to go there. Lester's one of them. I don't know who the starter is, but I'm pretty sure he probably is the starter. But yeah, John Lester's going to be there. And yeah, there's 5 Cubs that are starting this year, and a lot of people, again, just like last year, how the Royals, they were, you know, stacking up the Royals players there on that, are complaining that the Cubbies are going to the, and then why not? I mean, the Cubbies they're one of the best teams in baseball right now. Why not let them have their 5 guys? I mean, they're, you know, this is going to help them set themselves up to have home field advantage for the World Series, and that's one of the teams that a lot of people are saying that are going to go to the World Series, especially with the hot start they had. They have, of course, been slipping some here in the last week or so, but yeah, I mean, why not let them play? I mean, they're doing something that I really truly, I mean, this team's way overdue for a World Series. So hopefully that they're one of my team. I mean, they're not my favorite team, but they are one of my favorite teams that I like to root for as an underdog, and I'm going to be rooting for them all year long. Now, when it comes between them and the Red Sox for the championship, you know, I would say, yeah, I want Red Sox, but I think I would say, okay, Red Sox, let them have this one. I want the Cubbies to win this one, and so they can get that 8-year now or 9-year drought out, and so they can win a championship here. I mean, if Cleveland did it, Chicago should be next. Now, if Cleveland won a world championship in a major sport, then I think Chicago should be the next one to do it, but mainly for their baseball. They're on the north side of Chicago, so. But for the Home Run Derby, you got Mark Girbone of the Orioles, you got Corey Seager of the Dodgers, you got Robinson Cano of the Mariners, you got Stanton in the Marlins, You got Duvall for the Reds. You got Will Meyer of the Padres, and Todd Frazier of the White Sox, and Carlos Gonzalez, or better known as Cargo, for the Rockies. So that is your Home Run Derby competitors there. And again, I'm going to try to watch that here on Tuesday night there on ESPN with the new rules and stuff like that they have for the Home Run Derby, which I think is it was something they needed to do, because the Home Run Derby was just coming really stale and just boring and not that fun to really watch. So, but finally, let's go ahead and what else do we have to talk about here? Trying to look and see here. We already talked about basketball. Yeah, I know this week I am not organized as I am normally for the most part previous shows. But yeah, final thing. Okay, let's go to the world of pro wrestling. As you know, we just got done with the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which was a great pay-per-view. If you've not seen it, go check it out. And of course, it was kind of predictable because you knew who was going to, what was going to be and whatnot. But besides the point, I don't know if you guys follow there's some people that follow WWE religiously. Some people follow TNA religiously. Some people follow Ring of Honor religiously. They just follow. That's the only thing they follow. They don't watch anything else. If you're like me, who likes a variety of wrestling companies and stuff like that, this week I really just watched the recent episode of TNA, and one thing that really got me and several others talking about this was the recent video of Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, the final deletion of of the battle between these two. I recently just watched, and I watched it right here. I watched it there on YouTube right before I started doing this video here, and I honestly thought it was hilarious. I thought it was something different. I wouldn't say it was. I wouldn't say it's cringeworthy, but at the same time, it kind of was. But I will say it's a very creative way of doing a promo. Your traditional promos or backstage interviews. If you got the reporter either being praised or insulted or just completely ignored by the superstar. And this was something different because it was you show them kind of like in their homes, their own homes on the property. I'm assuming it's probably in North Carolina. Of course, his real life wife, Ruby Sky, was she's now part of TNA as a valet for Matt, because she helped him win this his recent world championship not too long ago. Of course, now the champion right now is it was Drew Galloway, but now I believe it's now Lashley. So yeah, the promo was kind of, I don't know. It was cool. It was different, a different way of doing a promo. I like, this is one thing I like about TNA is they go outside the box. They try something, and if it doesn't work out, okay, fine. It doesn't work out. We'll move on. As for the WWE, they don't like to change things, honestly, and you guys can agree with me or disagree with me, but they don't like changing things. It's a set thing. Well, this is how we're doing it. We're not going to change it. And if you don't like it, whatever, we'll move on. But TNA, I do appreciate them changing things up and wanting to do something different and fresh, and that to me is awesome. Again, I left a link down there below where you guys can watch the video. But for the most part, there's some there's some parts of that video or that segment there that was just okay, like, oh, this is too over the top, and just not believable. Especially like the part, like, I like the idea he used the drones to kind of like kind of get on Jeff's bad side, and Jeff's sitting there destroying them all. But the whole like futuristic, like, what do you call hologram of him talking to Matt or talking to Jeff, and that was like, okay, like, really, like, if you had a some kind of he had a camera on there, but if he had like some kind of I think those drones have like a speaker on it, so you can talk, and you can talk to whoever you're looking at. So that I could believe. Like, he was like, kind of like talking on there, and talking in third person and all that stuff and whatnot. I would believe it. It'd been more believable and a lot more funnier, and just because it's like, what the hell's wrong with my brother? He's crazy. He's using these drones, and which I like the crazy Hardy. I mean, if you guys remember, Jeff didn't do the similar. Well, he did a thing where he was kind of his innermost thoughts, and that right there, I kind of chuckled and laughed. I'm like, okay, he funny. This won't last for very long because it just won't work out, and it didn't. I think they did it for like a month, and then they just kind of scrapped it. But Jeff, of course, he's played a heel before, and I think Matt's played a heel in WWE and again in TNA and in Ring of Honor. But Jeff, he's only done a heel in TNA. He had that whole issue where he thought he was better than everybody. He walked, he was the messiah of wrestling and all this kind of stuff, and that's when he started the whole creatures of the creatures in the night and all that kind of stuff and everything, and that was his stick, that was his gimmick. And people were like, oh, I hate, gimmick wrestling is so boring, and I for the most part, I used to be like that. He said, I hate gimmick wrestling, but as long as the gimmick is believable and it seems organic and it seems real, if it's not any of those, you don't need to do it. It's not necessary. But with this right here, I kind of gave it some leeway. I actually watched it twice, and I think it's different. It's a different way of promoting a rivalry between two superstars and a potential matchup. And it's something, this is something that TNA needs. I mean, they need some attention. They need some, some attention when it comes to in the world of, in sports entertainment. Because you don't hear too much about them and their matches and their pay-per-views, stuff like that. And when it is talked about, it's usually in a negative light. I know there's some mixed reviews on there. I've seen some reaction videos of just regular day people, and also I've seen some reaction videos from other wrestlers who are in the business or who have been in the business, and there's some mixed reviews and stuff. And I honestly say it was pretty entertaining. I would give it like maybe a 5.5, 6 out of 10 there. It's something different. It's not the going through the motions type stuff you see in the WWE, which WWE, of course, now here has to change that here coming up this week, because they'll have their draft coming up as SmackDown's moving to Thursday, or moving to Tuesday nights live now. TNA, I think, it was recently announced they're going to be moving from Wednesday nights to Thursday nights. So that's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play, because now they're going to try to grab the SmackDown people that would normally watch SmackDown at 7. We're going to try to track that demographic there that normally watches wrestling on Thursday nights. They're going to try to draw them over to the network of Pop. I wish the best for them. But yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, that promo was stupid, and it was, it was ridiculous. It was over the top." Well, yeah, it was, and you know what? They got what the attention they wanted. They got you to either go online and talk about it and make reaction videos about it, and I mean, job well done. I mean, from a PR perspective, that's what I went to school for, and that's what I kind of do on part-time. I mean, that's your job. I mean, you want to get people talking. So, and they said there's an old saying, no news is good news. So, in some ways, in some ways they did their job. They did what they needed to do. They accomplished the goal that they wanted. And they got people to talk about it, good or bad. But yeah, I think overall when I watched it, like I said, I watched it twice. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a different way of promoting something, and maybe if they can come up with something that's more realistic and true to the characters that the wrestlers are portraying and stuff like that, I think they might have some. Because I like the idea of TNA. They do their a lot of their promos as a kind of like it's a reality show where they have these camera angles. They're not traditional camera angles. I think they use like a single cam, like one of those cameras that you hold on to. I forgot what kind of type of cameras they are, but it's one of those kind of cameras where they can pivot and move around, stuff like that, to have these, cockeyed shots and stuff like that, which I think is awesome. I think, again, something different, something out of the box. And that's what I've said this before, that's what I appreciate of TNA for, is to have something like that. Something that's different, a variety of different looks, different ways that they promote their wrestlers and their superstars and all that kind of stuff. I just wish they would go back to 6 sides. I mean, that was their thing. They would, being 6 sides and the 6 sides of still matches and stuff like that. I wish they go back to that. Why are you going with a traditional ring? That's WWE, Go with 6 sides. That's what made you guys famous. That's what made it really interesting watching you guys. And so hopefully we can, I'm hoping we'll see that. The only time we really see that is Destination X, which is coming up here soon. So definitely watch that. I think it's title for titles between Lashley and Eddie Edwards for the X Division title. Actually, he's putting up his X Division title up for grabs, and then Lashley's putting up the TNA World Heavyweight title. So whoever wins is going to be both champions. So should be pretty cool. And I'm going to try to see if I can watch that. I think that's next week, if I'm not mistaken. They're on Pop. So I'm going to try to tune in for that. But that right there is it for you guys for this week. I didn't think this show was going to last for almost an hour and a half here, but it did. But yeah, if you guys want something to talk about here, and again, I'll leave the links down below. You guys can check those out and follow those videos. Check those those videos or articles out. But if there's anything you guys want me to debate about with you guys, let me know. Leave some down there in the comment section. I'll check it out. If there's something you guys would think we should talk about, let me know. But I do, again, I wanted to say that at the beginning of the video that with all the stuff that's going on with civilians and police, it's a crazy time right now, and that's the least thing I can honestly say. It's just that I just fear that it's not gonna be it's scary times right now, and especially as a black male, I worry about this type of stuff, and I don't want to see anyone get gunned down by the police because of shoot now and then we'll find out questions later on. We'll find out what the reason why later on, when it should be okay. If they did something illegal, it gets to a point where you have to put them, you have to subdue them by not just by physical, but you have to take them down. Do non-lethal. You have taser guns? You can use those. That to me is more credible than pulling out your weapon and firing shots at someone. Like I said, even in a situation that they do draw a gun on you, I think you still, as officers, should be using some kind of non-lethal, thing, non-lethal weapon. If you're close enough to them to use your taser gun, that's what you should be using. All right. I'm just tired of seeing people get gunned down. So, but anyway, that's my thing on that. I'm not gonna talk about it more. If you guys want me to talk about it, I'll make a video about it. We can discuss it and whatnot. But really, again, this is just, I should be focusing on sports, and that's what I should stick with. So that's what I try to do. But again, if you guys have anything you guys want to talk about here in the world of sports, or about any articles I've mentioned, or any videos I've put down there on the bottom, let me know down below in the comments section, and I'll definitely check those out. If you guys have any interesting things you want me to read about in sports and whatnot, and something that needs to be talked about and hasn't been talked about in mainstream media or anything, let me know. Leave the link down below in the comment. Put it in the comment section. Leave a link, and I'll check it out. And if it's interesting enough to me, I will pass it along and to you. Research it, look up, talk about it, and then research about it, see what it's all about, and then go back to you guys and let you guys know about it also. So that's what I'm here for, and I want to put some common sense into people and about sports. So thank you guys so much for listening. That is it from me. I'm surprised I lasted my voice this long. Jeez. But yeah, that is it for me, you guys. As always, keep yourselves healthy, and I'll see you guys next week here for Sports Gamers Soapbox Talk podcast here on ESGNet. I'll see you guys next time.